The 2025 European International Championships wrapped up earlier today, and it was won by none other than the GOAT, Wolfe Glick, aka WolfeVGC. Now, unfortunately, our friends over here at Victor Road have not updated the numbers here yet, but this was a 1,400 player event. Now, that is absolutely insane. Like, I don't think people realize like how crazy it is. Like, one, that Wolfe has been so consistent. He's won the last 3 major events he's played in. But two, this is a 1,400 player event with some of the best players from around the world, right? Like, I know people from Australia that went. There are a lot of top American players like Wolfe, you know, Joe Ugarte. I think Justin Tang was there as well. Like, all the top players from all over the world have gone in to play in this event. Lucas Ceribelli as well was there, the defending world champion. I believe we saw Shohei Kimura as well. I believe the 2023 world champion. Like, just all the best players in the world were at this event. 1,400 total players. And Wolfe Glick, again, he comes out, he wins the whole thing. Like, I honestly, I think we're at a stage where, you know, I love Ray Rizzo, clearly one of the GOATs of this game. He won 3 consecutive, you know, world championships, but it is becoming really hard to argue against Wolfe Glick and how goddamn good this man is. Something else as well that was kind of announced, you know, during the event in Wolfe's, you know, very famous, well, I shouldn't say famous, it happened like half a day ago, but infamous at this point, post-game speech. He dropped a hot bar, which, you know, we might talk about a bit later. But he also mentioned, like, hey, that anonymous person who won the last global challenge, it was me. So yeah, this man, he wins Toronto, wins the global challenge, and then he comes out here, wins the biggest event of all time, which again beats his own record, because I believe he won the previous 2 biggest events of all time as well. So, you know, pretty standard Wolfe Glick stuff here right now. The team he brought, these are my spreads. I just want to quickly throw that out there. I recreated these spreads this morning. Since then, his paste has been put out on his Patreon. I have seen the team. This team has not changed, or at least these versions of it since I saw it, just simply because it's Wolfe's team, right? I'm not here to leak his team. If you want to go by his Patreon, you know, it's from what I've heard, fantastic. But yeah, no, shout out to the homies that did send me this, but really, really cool team by Wolfe here. Obviously, you know, you can see he's got the sun mode here with Crydon, Fluttermane. We'll talk about his Crydon like shortly as well. But the cool thing about this team is the Gothitelle Screamtail, the Perish Trap that Wolfe Glick is pretty goddamn infamous for at this point, but yeah, this is a really, really cool team because, like, one, it has this, like, super offensive mode where, you know, we know he's got the Focus Sash Fluttermane, right? Basically running 3 attacks, double step plus Icy Wind for a little bit of speed control. Terra Normal, really good as well for things like Calyrex, Shadow Rider. The Crydon on Wolfe's team as well was really interesting because there was 2 major changes to this, right? One, he has Life Orb over Clear Amulet, which, by the way, kind of crazy as well because there's a lot of KOs you just pick up with, like, Life Orb on this mon. But then 2, he dropped Collision Course for close combat. Now, the thing is, Collision Course is like 100 base power. Obviously, it gets a boost, you know, up to like, I think it's like 33% more if it's a super effective attack. But realistically, this is a one where, like, if it's hitting you for super effective damage in the sun especially, it's probably just going to one-tap you anyway. But close combat just in general does more damage. And there's a lot of really cool, you know, calcs you can pick up with this. I was talking to some of the homies about it earlier today. They were kind of running some calcs off, you know, things like you just one-shot Urshifu if they don't have Sash, you know, you can one-shot Koraidons if they're not like, sorry, Miraidons if they're not super bulky. I'm sure Koraidons as well, obviously, probably fall to it because their bulk's pretty similar. But yeah, just a really, really interesting take on it. The Life Orb, you know, Flame Charge, Blitz, and Close Combat. You know, a pretty standard moveset in terms of like the double fire plus fighting. But yeah, really cool to see. Of course, Terra Fire, just the best offensive Terra on this mon. In terms of the EVs as well, these were the 2 easiest ones to like kind of chuck out there, I will just say as well. The Fluttermane was Sash, it's going to be max. We know it was speed booster as well. And the Crydon, we are almost certain was Jolly max speed, simply because it was just outspeeding everything. If you go and watch Wolfe's games, which we'll briefly touch on his game shortly, that was 2 Calyrex Shadow Riders. He just like outsped in one shot with this thing, just Terrify, Blitz, bang, one tap. So yeah, we know they're both max speed, very, very offensive. The defensive backbone of this team is like really cool as well. Insane Amoonguss, like everyone kind of knows what these 2 mods do there. It's like, it's pretty standard. But Wolfe does have some really, you know, unique picks on it, right? First off, we have the Amoonguss here, Terra Dark plus Mental Herb. A lot of people look at this and say that's pretty, you know, they kind of, it's counterintuitive, right? Because a lot of the mons that are running moves like Taunt are going to be like mons like Tornadus, right? And the thing with the Tornadus is if you just go Terra Dark, you know, it can't, you know, you can't taunt it anyway, right? Because, you know, Prankster doesn't, you know, work on dark types. And then a lot of the time as well, like you just got to double taunt this mon anyway. But one cool thing I do think with this mon as well is Terra Dark can be really good into things like Calyrex Shadow Rider, especially if you need to resist and then, you know, just drop a Spore. So pretty cool there. And then the Insane here as well, opting for no knockoff, which was really interesting. Like, I remember, like, when I woke up this morning, I was, like, watching the games, like, 6 a.m. I'm like, why is he just, like, not knocking off this Miraidon? And then, yeah, it turns out the reason he wasn't knocking off the Miraidon is because he didn't have it. But again, makes a lot of sense, right? This is a Sun team. And he's running Perish Trap. So because he has the Perish Trap, I think he, you know, just wants to be able to store that extra turn with Protect. Makes a lot of sense. And then the Terra Bug as well, really, really interesting. Gives you a really good answer into a lot of the fighting types in the metagame. You know, of course, the Urshis and Iron Hands are both pretty damn solid. And then we see Gothitelle running, just a pretty standard set. We got to see there was like one calc in particular where he lived a Helping Hand, Terrafire, Ivy Cudgel in the sun at -1. And because of that, I was like, yeah, he's just like got a lot of bulk in it. So I essentially hit the bump. I looked at the calc. It looked good. I was like, yeah, this is it, right? Terra Water, again, pretty standard. During the sun, you want to be able to resist some of those fire type moves. And then, yeah, just like stab, fake out, taunt, pretty standard stuff. No, I will say no Trick Room I did think was kind of interesting. But I do think the Amoongus is probably that answer. And that's why we're like 0 speed on this one. And then finally, Screamtail. This guy did have 0 attack. So this point here is like kind of useless. It's whatever. But I just don't see the point in putting in an attack. So I just put it there for the sake of it. But you don't need to run it. But yeah, this is just 157 speed. It outspeeds like things like Choice Scarf Kyogre, for example. And yeah, it's just max defense because this mon's already pretty specially defensive. So I think having him pretty close to each other is like pretty solid. Obviously helps out with things like Calyrex Ice Rider as well and whatnot. But this mon honestly was one of the MVPs. If you watch Wolfe's games, one of the funny things is, right, Wolfe was on stream 5 times, right, throughout the event. So there was a lot of footage on him, right? I think we got to see him play. It was like 12 to like 13 times roughly. And this mon was just, it was nutty, man. The amount of times he trapped Miraidons, which, again, I'll briefly touch on it. I think he played 3 Miraidons and 2 Calyrex Shadows on stream, which, like, at first it's like, damn, what are the chances? But then you, like, check the usage stats here. You see Cali Shadow, Miraidon, number 1 and number 2 for day 1. And then day 2, of course, number 1 and number 2 again. Sorry, number 1 and number 3 this time. So they're both pretty high usage. I would have loved to have seen him actually play, like, a Cali Ice, a Zama on stream and whatnot, but it is what it is. We just got to see Miraidon and Calyrex for the, the entire thing. But this one was just an absolute menace, man. The amount of times he got, like, he would just, like, trap the Miraidon on the board, he would disable it, and then it would just sit there struggling while Gothitelle and, like, Screamtail were just sitting there being annoying as hell, like, pivoting in and out the Incineroar, like, end games as well, where he goes for, like, the Perish Long, and then he's, like, Encore Disabling. They're sitting there struggling while Perish is going down, dude. It was honestly nutty, man. Wolfe just out here just... I don't know how he does it, man. I seriously don't know how he does it. Like, I sit here, I love this game. I watch a lot of games. I play a lot of games. How he does this so consistently. And, like, again, like, the dude, he was playing the World Championship, like, 12, 13 years ago. He's been playing for a very long time, but the consistency, man. And that's what I was saying at the start, right? When I talk about this man being the greatest player of all time, like, seriously, like, a lot of people just... I don't think they realize, like, what he is doing now, like, how impressive it is. You're like, as I said at the start, Ray Rizzo, he's won 3 World Championships. He won them all back-to-back. He is one of the greatest players to ever play this game. But the consistency Wolfe has had, especially in Scarlet and Violet, has just been absolutely insane. And, like, to me, this is the Michael Jordan versus LeBron GOAT debate, right? Yes, Michael Jordan back in his day was the greatest we'd ever seen. Competition today is just a lot better than it was, 12, 13, 14 years ago. No disrespect to Ray. Love him. As I said, he's one of my favorite players to watch. What he did back in the day was incredible. But what Wolfe is doing today is just, it's special, man. Like, I play here in Australia. We have 200 to 300 player events. They're freaking hard. When I day two'd an event and got like 20, I got like 20th like twice. Yeah, I'm like, damn, that's sick. Like 300 players getting 20th. Awesome. This man rolls into every freaking event he plays. All 1,000 plus players. This event, 1,400 players. The best players from around the world. We had top Japanese players, Americans. He just strolls in there and wins it all. And with an off-meta team. And that's the other crazy thing to me, right, is he played Perish Trap, right? Gothitelle, right? This mon... for anyone who doesn't know how Shadow Tag works, right? Traps the opponents in. If you're a Ghost type, you can switch out. Anyone else can't switch out. The most used mon in the game, sorry Wolfe, is Calyrex Shadow Rider. He's playing Perish Trap in a meta game where the best Pokemon is a Ghost type. Absolutely insane, dude. It's just, man, like, I don't know. Like, you can even, like, look at this here. Like, look at these stats. Fluttermane's still, like, really good usage. It's just, you've got a potential U-turning Urshi, parting, shotting Incineroars. You see U-turn Rillaboom. There are some Volt Switch, Raging Bolts out there. Like, a lot of these mons could pivot out. The GOAT just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He stays out here. He stays winning. I think I mentioned at the start, dude. This guy winning the Global Challenge, absolutely insane. Like, look at his results, man. He, like, wins a Players' Cup. He's a world champion, NAIC champion, now a European international champion. He's a 10-time regional champion. Only player to ever do it. And he wins himself another global challenge, man. It's, yeah, I think it's getting really, really hard to kind of argue against this man. I think he is simply that good at this game. And yeah, honestly, I think to round it all off as well, like, again, like, his opponents played fantastic as well. That finals, again, go watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch the finals. One of the best sets of Pokemon I've seen in a very long time. Both players played absolutely amazing. Wolfe Glick just the way he was able to pivot around. And, like, again, I didn't get to, like, really talk about it too much when I was looking at the team as well. But like, it was very clear he kind of had like two modes in a sense, right? He had his normal mode where it was like, hey, I'm playing Kali Shadow, I'm not bringing Perish Trap, where it was like he played Fluttermane, Cryogon, Instant Amoonguss. It was fantastic. He then had his like Perish Trap mode where it was like, okay, I'm going like Cryogon, Gothitelle, Screamtail, and then like normally Incineroar. And like against the Calyrex Shadow Riders, he went the offensive Sun mode, right? He's like, I can't bring Perish Trap. And then against the Miraidons, he went the Perish Trap stuff where he would lead Koraidon, try pick up a KO, you know, pin that, like try to trap the Koraidon in, or, you know, trap a Mon in, and then Perish it down and eventually just like KO 2 Mons, right? But then also in the finals, he went up against like Urshifu Dark, and like I think it was like something he talked about in his post-game interview where it's like Urshifu Dark is like a really bad matchup for this team because like these 2 Mons here, Goth and like Screamtail, don't want to sit in front of it, right? Like this team, like, because like Urshi Rapid, like, yeah, it hurts with Surging Strikes, it can break through Protect. You have the Sun to kind of mitigate its damage, where this team, it's like, you've just got like nothing. Like Gothitelle can't sit in front of a, you know, a Dark Urshifu. And because of that, Wolf just switched it up. He's like, all right, I'm just going to bring Instant Amoonguss, Flutter and Flutter and Koraidon. And yeah, I'm kind of just going to win the game because I'm the greatest player to ever play the game. But yeah, honestly, like, that's all I really wanted to say. I did really want to do a full analysis of EUIC today as well. We do have some teams over on, you know, Top Cut Explorer here, so massive shout outs to those guys. But unfortunately, you know, we don't really have the listing here for like top 16 and whatnot. At the time of recording this, at least, you know, we don't have the update here either on Victory Road, making it kind of hard to do one of these videos. And then not to mention as well, it's a Monday night. I play basketball on Mondays for anyone who doesn't know. I need to leave home in like half an hour. The time it took me to record this is going to take me a lot less than it would take me to do a full recap. So if you guys are interested, I will be doing hopefully like a recap of the event, or, you know, just kind of, you know, breaking it down, looking at some of the best teams and whatnot in the coming days, hopefully tomorrow, if not Wednesday. But yeah, other than that, guys, I'll leave you with one really funny thing from the event that I thought everyone should see.
That was such a crazy set. Just what's going through your mind right now, international champion?
Honestly, I'm just thinking about the scope. There were 1,400 players who signed up for this tournament, who entered this tournament, the biggest official Pokemon tournament of all time. 1,400 players trained their Pokemon, traveled to London, practiced with a friend, worked on their team. 1,400 people showed up to this tournament hoping and dreaming to win the entire thing.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.